female athletes that are
So
transgender,
I am a,
transsexual. That
I
like,
am a trans female athlete. I've played soccer.
Feel for you.
right.
in women's leagues.
But there was this
so.
recent experience where a man, I think it was in Canada, you might have seen this, where a man identified as a woman and then went into a heavy lifting competition and just like demolished it. And
I haven't seen that. I saw there's a recent. I should know.
he like broke a record for female
I should know her name.
weightlifting.
There's a track athlete in Oregon recently.
Where was a transgender?
High school, a young trans female.
What do you think about that? Do you think?
So I think that I think it's really interesting that people who aren't into any of these sports suddenly care about it when they hear something about generally it's a trans woman issue. So like, I'm not meaning to sound like to knock you, but
Yeah.
do you care about weightlifting? Or
I don't.
Do people care about high school track? Some people do, certainly, but do people care about, collegiate, women's swimming? Suddenly they do, but so I think that the athletes within sports, anybody, and I say this with a little bit of sass because I'm a competitive, not like high competitive, but I'm a very competitive person. I'm a competitive athlete. I welcome competition. And other women that I've talked to, and when I played soccer and I was the first openly transgender soccer player in the Fort Worth Adult League. I was thankful for that associations to their support. I generally felt those women out there were like, yeah, let's play. Let's play. People who want to compete. It's going to be an occasional person who can't handle something, who's like, is butthurt about something, but a real athlete is up for it. And I don't think trans women don't have any sort of like, they're still working out studies, but they don't have any sort of incredible competitive advantage. That's a myth. And in fact, most of them lose a lot of their performance edge through transitioning. So, and I'm a runner too, not necessarily competitive, but when I started transitioning, my general running pace was like an 8 minute, like 12-second running pace. Now it's about 10 minutes. That is a big change.
So you're saying through the transition, the hormones and the things that you take impact your strength or your endurance?
Oh, 100%. I can't. I'm really weak in my arms. I can't lift. I can't open jars.
What about? You know what? I don't really have a dog in this fight. I'll just say right off the bat, just like you said, I don't care about weightlifting. I don't care about these things. I guess I just watch Joe Rogan. Goodness. And I've heard people talk about it. And so
I don't
now
really care for Joe Rogan, but
now I've got an opportunity to ask someone that might have some more experience on it. And so then I'm just
I think like my
curious.
response to it is if you want to start talking about, trans women, transgender athletes playing women's sports, then I think you should go spend some time specifically focusing on that woman's sport and getting to know it first before you start commenting on it. Because then if you do that, then I'll feel like you have some perspective and I'll feel like you care and I'll feel like you're educated. And I don't mean that I mean that in general to anyone. Yeah. It's just real funny that people suddenly care about women's collegiate swimming. Who don't know anything about it. I guess,
I think the place where there could be like these loopholes where, you're right. Let's drop that one.
Yeah.
I don't really care about these sports. I guess what I want is for
oftentimes
folks to
people think of it as
have a chance,
fairness, but it's not.
Yeah, but that's what I think of it as fairness.
Right, but competitive sports, it's not fair.
But we do divide feminine and masculine in these.
You know who had to go through this stuff? Black folks had to go through this stuff in the 1940s and the 1950s because they found that African American athletes actually could compete and could kick some ass. And for a long time, they were kept out of sports because the poor, like white supremacist athletes couldn't handle it. Their egos couldn't handle it. And you know what? Sports are better for it. Sports anyone should be able to compete in the class that they identify with. And so, um, I don't know. I can't. Fairness is not in sport. There's no one athlete who is the same as another athlete. It's never going to be fair. And
But we have
but
what's it
there's
called,
but
sexual dimorphism, that
sure.
where like
But if you compare it, there's no
men and women have different form bodies.
Sure, but
And some,
after hormones, a trans woman's body is the same
but
as
I don't think identifying as female requires hormones. I could
well
say
that
tomorrow that I
there's
identify as a female
I
and
don't know
then
about
go
that.
and compete.
Well, see, I
in,
don't know about that. I think different associations. I mean, I could say that like perhaps there's standards in terms of I don't know. I think if you just say, hey, I'm this way or that, now I want to compete. Like what if I said, I don't know, I'm making this up, but what if I suddenly started saying I'm Jewish, I want to compete in a certain Jewish like athletic competition or something.
Okay.
I don't. That to me is not necessarily fair. But if
I mean, I think that's what we're talking about.
I don't think so. I don't think so because
I mean, this guy.
well, if you're talking about just saying that you identify with something, but that's different from actually transitioning. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much more about
Yeah,
this
me
topic
neither.
because I don't want to.
I don't want to get in hot water with anybody or with you.
Yeah,
And it's really just a curiosity and like wanting to have discourse that's, where I can maybe learn something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, I think in competitive areas that a trans woman who is a woman, she has women hormones, her body has transitioned, like should be competing in women's groups.
Yeah.
So, and if any other women don't like that, then they cannot play.
Yeah.
But do you love that sport enough? More? Would you like be upset by that enough that a sport that you love you wouldn't play because something that someone who you have zero education on and you believe myths about them and you're like, okay, I'm not going to play that sport anymore? Then you didn't like that sport to begin with.
I think you were right earlier when you said that it has to do with fairness for me.
Yeah.
And I guess I think of a world where, you got a 35-year-old human being that has lived they've been masculine their whole life and they've had testosterone and they've developed their body and their muscles and everything as a man.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be, oh man, this could be totally wrong, but it feels true to me. For a lot of different sports, they will have a competitive advantage because of the testosterone, because of the way the muscles are developed, because of all that.
I mean, they lose after we're talking about after transitioning.
But then
they
you just
lose
get into like
they lose muscle mass.
I
They
get
lose
that, but
muscle mass.
you'd have to say like
They don't have testosterone in their body anymore. Like,
but then I don't know that these organizations are saying in order for you to play as a female, you have to have had done these things for a certain amount of time.
Some of them are actually, yeah.
Some of them have. That makes more sense to me.
I think the NCAA does have a certain time requirement on it.
You had to have had taken some hormones and done certain things.
I think. I'm not.
You gotta have at least a C cup.
I don't know about that, but I mean, because there's cis women who don't have C cups.
C cups. Okay, you have to have. Yeah.
Yep.
You just took it seriously.
Yeah,
it was a joke.